Let's start it with our first news. Tom Aspinall talks about Cyril Gane fight ahead of UFC 321. The UFC heavyweight division is once again in the spotlight as Tom Aspinall prepares to face Cyril Gane in what promises to be one of the most dynamic clashes of the year. With the fight set for October 25th at UFC 321, anticipation is building rapidly, and both fighters are stepping into the spotlight to address fans and media. For months, speculation swirled around who Aspinall would fight next. Fans and analysts debated possible opponents, with many expecting him to eventually meet Jon Jones in a massive heavyweight showdown. However, after Jones announced his retirement, at least for the time being, the focus shifted. The UFC quickly confirmed that Aspinall's next opponent would be France's own Cyril Gane, and the fight was officially announced during a press conference in Paris. The event made headlines for several reasons. Not only was the matchup confirmed, but Aspinall also faced a tough crowd. French fans showered him with boos as he took the stage, creating a charged atmosphere that underscored the intensity of this upcoming bout. Yet, despite the hostile reception, Aspinall remained composed. Addressing the crowd and media, Aspinall emphasized that his focus was entirely on Gane. "Cyril is the guy I'm fighting, so he's the biggest test right now," he explained. "Jon Jones is retired, so I don't really have much to say on that, to be honest. I'm fighting this guy, and this guy's really good, so I'll be as ready as I can be." Aspinall's comments highlight his pragmatic approach to fighting. Rather than chasing hypothetical matchups, he is laser-focused on the challenge directly ahead of him. Gane, after all, is no ordinary opponent. A former interim heavyweight champion with 2 title shots already under his belt, Gane brings a wealth of experience and a unique fighting style that has troubled some of the best heavyweights in the division. When asked to compare his current matchup to earlier stages of his career, Aspinall was clear in pointing out the growth that both he and Gane have experienced. "I think the biggest difference is we're both better now than we were a few years ago," he said. "We both have a lot more experience. Cyril has had 2 title shots already, I've defended an interim title, and now hold the undisputed title. So I think this fight's going to be better." Aspinall also touched on the evolution of the heavyweight division itself, noting how fighters like him and Gane represent a new era. Unlike the heavyweights of 10 years ago, both men move with remarkable agility and speed for their size, making them a difficult puzzle for any opponent. "I think it's pretty rare that you see guys of our size that move like we do," he remarked. "This is really the new age of the heavyweights, and people are going to see the difference between fighters like us and the ones from a decade ago." What's especially notable is the absence of trash talk between the two athletes. While many modern fight promotions lean heavily on verbal warfare to sell pay-per-views, both Aspinall and Gane seem content to let their skills do the talking inside the cage. This approach has generated respect from hardcore fans, who appreciate a matchup built on skill, athleticism, and championship-level talent rather than theatrics. As UFC 321 draws closer, the buzz around this fight continues to grow. With Aspinall holding the undisputed title and Gane determined to prove himself once again on the biggest stage, the clash represents more than just another main event. It's a defining moment for the future of the heavyweight division. Whether fans are cheering or booing, one thing is certain: Tom Aspinall versus Cyril Gane is a fight that promises to deliver. Move on to another news. MMA community reacts to Nassourdine Imavov versus Caio Borralho. The UFC's latest main event featured an intriguing middleweight clash between Nassourdine Imavov and Caio Borralho, and it delivered a hard-fought battle that has the MMA world buzzing. While the fight may not have produced a dramatic finish, it showcased the technical abilities, endurance, and resilience of both fighters. Ultimately, Imavov emerged victorious by unanimous decision, but the reactions from fighters, analysts, and fans highlight just how closely this bout will factor into the middleweight title picture. The fight opened with a cautious first round. Both men spent the early minutes feeling each other out, trading jabs and testing distance. The action picked up toward the end of the round when Imavov connected with a sharp combination before the two fighters clinched against the cage, setting the tone for what would become a gritty and tactical battle. In the second round, Imavov began to showcase his striking dominance. He pressured Borralho against the fence, landed crisp combinations, and even connected with a spinning back fist that drew loud reactions from the crowd. His speed and timing looked a step ahead, forcing Borralho to stay defensive throughout much of the round. Round 3 brought more drama. Imavov landed a big right hand that appeared to hurt Borralho and surged forward looking for a finish. However, the momentum was interrupted when Borralho landed an accidental groin strike, leading to a brief timeout. Later in the round, Imavov himself poked Borralho in the eye, causing another pause. The exchanges remained competitive, but neither fighter landed anything decisive after those interruptions. The fourth round slowed, with Imavov continuing to control the pace and land cleaner strikes, while Borralho struggled to mount significant offense. By the fifth, Borralho seemed to find a bit of rhythm, connecting with some of his best shots of the fight. Yet controversy struck again when Imavov delivered another eye poke, earning a stern warning from the referee but avoiding a point deduction. The fight closed with both men trading heavy punches in the center of the cage, but neither landed the decisive blow. When the scorecards were read, Imavov was awarded a unanimous decision victory. It was a technically strong performance, but the lack of a finish and the multiple fouls became major talking points in the MMA community. Joe Rogan praised the bout as a war, and noted that while Imavov didn't score a stoppage, he showcased high-level striking and composure. Rogan also pointed out that the UFC's matchmaking standards might prioritize finishes, leaving the door open for other contenders like Anthony "Fluffy" Hernandez or Renier de Ridder, RDR, to leapfrog Imavov in the title picture if they score a dominant win in their upcoming fight. Other fighters chimed in as well. Khamzat Chimaev kept it short, simply posting "good fight." Islam Makhachev congratulated Imavov on a dominant performance, while Aljamain Sterling questioned Borralho's strategy, noting he expected him to pursue takedowns more aggressively instead of standing and striking. Henry Cejudo echoed Rogan's sentiment, suggesting that the winner of RDR versus Hernandez could earn the next title shot ahead of Imavov. Analysts and fans had mixed takes. Some, like Jay Gerber, hailed Imavov as one of the UFC's most technically skilled strikers, citing his speed, accuracy, and countering ability as reasons he deserves the next title shot. Others, like Adam Martin and Adam Catterall, argued that while Imavov looked sharp, his performance left the door open for other contenders to steal the spotlight. In the end, Nassourdine Imavov proved why he is ranked among the top middleweights in the world. His precision striking and ability to control the fight impressed many, but the lack of a statement finish means the middleweight title picture remains wide open. With contenders like Hernandez, de Ridder, and Chimaev in the mix, the division is shaping up to be one of the UFC's most exciting battlegrounds in the coming months. Move on to another news. Daniel Cormier reacts to Mike Tyson vs. Floyd Mayweather exhibition match. Former UFC champion Daniel Cormier recently shared his thoughts on the much-talked-about exhibition bout between boxing legends Mike Tyson and Floyd Mayweather, rumored to take place in 2026. While the announcement has generated excitement and curiosity worldwide, Cormier raised a number of important points that question the nature of such events and what fans should realistically expect. Cormier began by addressing the biggest challenge surrounding these types of spectacles: how to explain the concept of an exhibition to the general public. He emphasized that fans often tune in expecting a genuine contest, but an exhibition, by definition, is not a real competitive fight. Instead, it is structured to provide entertainment without the same intensity, risk, or intention to inflict damage that defines professional bouts. He explained that this becomes especially complicated when fighters from different weight classes are involved. According to Cormier, when a heavyweight like Mike Tyson is matched against a much smaller fighter such as Floyd Mayweather, the exhibition format is the only way to make the fight possible. However, that format also limits the action because it requires the fighters to perform at a controlled pace, maintaining a level of intensity that entertains without crossing into actual violence. Cormier drew comparisons to Tyson's 2020 exhibition match against Roy Jones Jr. At the time, fans were excited to see two legends return to the ring. The build-up created the sense that the fight would be a throwback to the explosive action both men were known for in their primes. Yet when the bout finally took place, it was clear that Tyson was holding back. The punches were not intended to cause serious harm, and the fight left many fans feeling underwhelmed. For Cormier, this highlights the biggest flaw of exhibitions: when the danger is removed, so too is much of the appeal. He stressed that fight fans are drawn to combat sports because of the intensity, the risk, and yes, the potential for real damage. When I watch fights, I want to see people trying to hurt each other, Cormier explained. That element of danger is what creates the emotional investment that keeps audiences glued to the action. Without it, the spectacle risks becoming little more than a staged performance. Cormier also pointed out that this would not be the first time Floyd Mayweather has participated in such events. Mayweather's exhibition with YouTuber Logan Paul in 2021 was a financial success but left hardcore fight fans questioning the legitimacy and seriousness of the spectacle. While it generated headlines and revenue, it did little to satisfy those who were hoping for a real contest. As for the Tyson-Mayweather matchup, Cormier doubts fans will see the kind of explosive moments they secretly hope for, such as Tyson knocking Mayweather out cold. "One thing I know we won't see is Mike Starch Floyd," Cormier stated. "The purpose of the event is not to crown a winner or settle a rivalry, but to entertain, sell pay-per-views, and give audiences a nostalgic thrill." In the end, Cormier's reaction reflects a larger debate within combat sports. Exhibition fights blur the line between sport and entertainment. While they draw massive attention and financial gain, they rarely deliver the authentic intensity fans crave. For some, the mere sight of two legends sharing the ring is enough. But for purists like Daniel Cormier, the absence of real stakes and genuine danger makes it hard to take such events seriously. Move on to another news. More details emerge on the UFC White House card. When the UFC first announced its intention to host a fight card on the grounds of the White House, many fans and critics alike dismissed the idea as little more than an ambitious publicity stunt. The concept of transforming one of the most iconic landmarks in American history into a stage for mixed martial arts sounded far-fetched. Yet as time passes, more details are surfacing that suggest this unprecedented event might actually become a reality. According to reports from the Wall Street Journal and follow-up coverage by MMA Fighting, the historic event is now tentatively scheduled for June 2026. While organizers originally hoped to stage the card on July 4th, logistical complications forced the date to be moved earlier in the summer. Even with the shift, the plan remains incredibly ambitious, blending the spectacle of combat sports with the symbolism of American history and tradition. One of the most eye-catching details is the location of the weigh-ins, which are reportedly planned to take place at the Lincoln Memorial. The thought of fighters stepping onto the scale in front of one of the nation's most revered monuments adds a powerful visual to the occasion. On fight night itself, the action is expected to unfold on the south lawn of the White House, transforming the pristine grounds into an outdoor arena unlike anything the UFC has attempted before. Adding to the spectacle, fighters will allegedly warm up inside the White House before making their walkout to the octagon. This detail alone has generated plenty of conversation, as the image of fighters shadowboxing in historic rooms, spaces more commonly associated with presidents, diplomats, and historic events, underscores just how surreal the night could be. Fans attending the event can also expect giant viewing screens, fireworks, and an elaborate light show to ensure the production matches the magnitude of the occasion. Taken together, these elements make it clear that the UFC is aiming to deliver something more than just a fight card. It wants to create a cultural moment etched into sports history. Of course, the biggest question remains, who will headline the White House card? UFC heavyweight champion Jon Jones has been vocal about his desire to fight on this historic stage, pushing publicly for the opportunity. However, UFC President Dana White has downplayed the likelihood of Jones competing, famously stating the odds are 1,000,000,000 to 1. Despite this, the demand from fans to see Jones involved remains high. On the other hand, Conor McGregor has also expressed interest. Given his star power, charisma, and track record of delivering blockbuster events, McGregor's involvement would instantly boost the card's global appeal. However, nothing has been finalized, and UFC leadership is keeping details under wraps for now. While the logistical hurdles are immense, from security concerns to crowd management, the growing stream of reports indicates that UFC leadership is committed to making the White House card more than just a dream. If successful, it would mark one of the most historic moments not only in mixed martial arts, but in the broader world of sports entertainment. For now, fans will have to wait and see whether fighters really will be warming up inside the White House before walking out to the octagon on the South Lawn. If it happens, June 2026 could be remembered as the night MMA history collided with American history on the grandest stage imaginable. Move on to another news. Nassourdine Imavov defeats Caio Borralho in Paris. Issues title challenge to Khamzat Chimaev. French middleweight contender Nassourdine Imavov delivered a masterclass performance in front of his home fans on Saturday night, outpointing Caio Borralho in the main event of UFC Fight Night Paris. With the victory, Imavov not only extended his win streak to 5, but also solidified his position as the No. 2 ranked fighter in the UFC middleweight division. His post-fight message was clear: he wants a shot at reigning champion Khamzat Chimaev. The bout, held at the Pac de Cour Arena in Paris, showcased Imavov's evolution as a complete mixed martial artist. Entering the cage with a record of 20-4 MMA, Imavov demonstrated clinical boxing, distance management, and relentless pressure that kept Borralho 17-2 MMA from ever finding his rhythm. The judges' scorecards reflected Imavov's dominance, reading 50-45, 49-46, 49-46 in favor of the Frenchman. From the opening bell, Imavov controlled the center of the octagon, firing crisp jabs and combinations that forced Borralho to fight off his back foot. Borralho, who carried an impressive statistic of finishing 62% of his victories via knockout or submission, was unable to impose his grappling or striking power against the more versatile Imavov. The Brazilian, ranked number 7 in the division, had not tasted defeat in a decade until Saturday night. Despite the commanding win, Imavov expressed dissatisfaction with himself for not securing a stoppage. His original plan was to finish Borralho, but instead, he settled for a dominant decision. Still, in his post-fight interview, the Frenchman wasted no time in staking his claim for a title shot. "I am next," Imavov declared as the Parisian crowd erupted in cheers. Borralho was unbeaten for 10 years. "I just beat him, and I beat him with style. I need to be the next one to fight for the UFC middleweight title." The call-out was directed at undefeated champion Khamzat Chimaev, 15 Maiev 15 Maiev 15 Maiev 15 Maiev 0 MMA, who sits at the top of the division. With his current momentum, Imavov's argument for a title shot is difficult to ignore. His rise has been steady but impressive, and defeating a surging contender like Borralho only adds weight to his case. For Borralho, the defeat was a bitter pill, marking his first setback inside the UFC, yet he showed humility in defeat, praising his opponent and acknowledging that he had struggled to adjust mid-fight. "Thank you, Nassourdine, for the respect," Borralho said afterward. "He was the better man today, very fast, just as I expected. I couldn't adapt my strategy enough. I wanted to entertain the fans, so I struck with one of the best strikers in the world. You saw a great war tonight." The night wasn't just about Imavov, however. In the co-main event, hometown favorite Benoit Saint-Denis thrilled the Paris crowd with a second-round submission win over Mauricio Ruffi. Saint-Denis, who now holds a professional record of 15 Maiev 3 MMA, sunk in a rear-naked choke at 2:56 of round 2, handing Ruffi 12-2 MMA, the first submission loss of his career. The victory for Saint-Denis snapped Ruffi's 7-fight winning streak that dated back to November 2019, further cementing the French lightweight's reputation as one of the division's most dangerous finishers. For French MMA fans, UFC Paris proved to be a night of celebration. Imavov is now within touching distance of a middleweight title shot, while Saint-Denis continues to build momentum as a rising star. And if the UFC grants Imavov his wish, fans could soon witness a clash of styles between the French technician and the relentless force of Khamzat Chimaev.